Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today's webinar is on social learning theory, and this webinar is for NIBM Global, and I am Jitin Benedict. Social learning theory by Albert Bandura. Have you heard about this Bobo doll experiment? Have you heard about something known as social learning theory that has been devolved out, which we can really associate with a lot of the development or social development that is being done on kids? Now, I would slowly introduce the propounder, that is Albert Bandura. Albert Bandura is from University of British Columbia, and he also worked with University of Iowa and Stratford University, a very renowned psychologist. He is best known for his social cognitive theory and also known widely for his studies on the imitation aggression with the Bobo doll, or very widely known as the Bobo doll experiment. Now, what did Albert Bandura try to tell to the whole world? Albert Bandura was doing his study or was doing his investigation on child psychology. He was trying to understand how do a child try to grow up? How does his psychological setup try to evolve and imitate others? He tried to do an experiment with Bobo doll. You know what is a Bobo doll? As what you see in the picture. A Bobo doll is a doll maybe of this height on my hip size height, and it has the center of, it is more heavy on the bottom and maybe filled with air, or it can be filled with a very light material, soft toy or something, and the center of mass is at the very bottom. So what happens when you hit the Bobo doll? It rebounds back. When you hit or try to put the Bobo doll upside down, it rebounds back because center of gravity is somewhat close to the bottom. Now, so the Bobo doll experiment was carried out in different phases. Now, the experiment goes like this. It was tested on how children learn and imitate aggressive behavior. Now, this was done by Bandura and Ross in 1961. Later, there was another experiment by Ward and Cruikshank in 1986, where they try to understand the genetic predisposition and abusive home combined with the media increases. So, how do children learn all these aggressive behavior? There were a lot of children taking out guns and shooting out their peers, which happened in the US and around the world. So, how does children take up all these very abusive as well as very, wrong, from where do children learn all these things from? The biggest factor contributing to the media violence, desensitization and limited consequences were another line of study which came out from this social learning theory by Bandura. Now, let us first of all tell or try to understand about this Bobo doll experiment, and then we learn about social learning theory. The setup done was like there were 72 children that was being taken for this experiment. 24 children were grouped together. There was another 24 children that was grouped together, and there were 24 children, the final group, which was used as a control group with no model. Now, the first group, what we did was, we have a very closed room where nobody is inside that, but a Bobo doll is being kept. There is a mechanism wherein you can record the entire activity, and there is a TV out there. Okay, this is the only setup in that particular room. Now, what happened is, for these first group where there were 24 children, and there was a role model for them. There was a role model, and there was a male model and a female model. Okay, we'll go like this. First of all, this model that was selected was a very aggressive model. The setup was done like this. There were 72 children, groups of 24 each. The first group had an aggressive model. The second group had a non-aggressive model, and the last group had no model. So the setup was like this, like there was a room, and this particular room, it was like a closed room, and only thing that was there was a Bobo doll and a television. Now, what happened was, when the boy, the respondent or the subject for this particular experiment was could be a boy or a girl, and the age group was something like in the initial age. For example, the age group could be something like 3 years to 7 years. And the first, when the boy goes in, he finds that there is a Bobo doll. and he first of all tries to play with it. He does not understand what to do. He starts slowly putting the ball down, Bobo doll down, start very casually play with the ball, with the doll. Later, what happens was suddenly a TV goes on and you can see a very aggressive model coming up there, and this aggressive model is trying to hit that particular Bobo doll, smash that, thrash that, and finally taking a gun out there and shooting that particular Bobo doll. Now, what was being learned out of this was that after this TV goes off, the behavior of this boy towards the Bobo doll changes. He also tries to hit that Bobo doll, smash it, kick it, as how that particular the actor was doing in that particular movie. And finally, a gun which was kept on the corner of the room, the boy goes and takes that gun and triggers towards the Bobo doll and trying to smash that down. This was done in different setup. For example, there was a female model, and a female model was given to 6 boys and 6 girls. A male model was given for 6 boys and 6 girls, and this was for the aggressive type. Then there was a non-aggressive, mild, very fair looking and good role model. And this model was, the female model was given for 6 boys and 6 girls. A male model was given for 6 boys and 6 girls, and the behavior was learned. Then for the last control group for 24, no model was given. They were simply asked to enter into the Bobo doll room and do whatever they want. Now, what was the result was that the girls who viewed the male model were more physical. The girls who viewed the female model were more verbal, and the boys were more physically aggressive. The children are more likely to model their behavior after the nutrient or the parent models were out there. So, the Bandura and Ross, what they try to understand from this social learning theory was that the child's behavior is being set with what he learns from the society, from what he learns from the models, from those people which he sees as models. So, whatever the implications that comes out of this particular social learning theory or social learning theory by Albert Bandura is that what really impacts this child psychology is what their parents, their loved ones, their brothers, their close peers try to do. So it's very important that a child during the initial stages of his physical development, his brain development, has to be in a setup where there is much more good values, socially acceptable ways of learning, and a very good atmosphere, so that the boy or the girl or the child grows up in a much more effective and a fruitful fashion for the whole society. Social learning theory still stands out, one of the best theory in child psychology. So, I would like to wind up. The contribution by Albert Bandura and his co-worker Ross was really good when it comes to child psychology. I want you to read more on this particular topic. Try to understand how good parenting can be done. May not in the parlance of good parenting, but how you yourself can be develop other children of your own society by giving a good role model for others. This is Jitin for NIBM Global.